feel the power of you controlling your breathing right now, in this moment. Here, in the present, the greatest gift you have, that we have. That power, that determination that's in you, in everyone, it's the same power we use to control our minds, one thought at a time, one breath at a time. Here we are, another beautiful day in the gym of life. Life, the greatest teacher of all. And you get to learn from it every single day, every single moment. No matter how young you are, how old you are, no matter what you look like, how different you are, we are one. We are the same in one fundamental way. One truthful way. We were born to win, to be happy, to be as we were born. So let's see ourselves today. Determination, let's see ourselves determining to do our best on whatever exercise and stretches we do, the way we move our bodies today in this moment we have together. Do it to the best of our ability by simply being.
In the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture, that bright infinity inside your eyes.
매일 밤 내게 날아가 꿈 이룬 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나 Never ending forever baby.
어둠이 내게 편했었지. 길어진 그림자 속에서 And the thought that we can't be together Because we come from different sides. You are my universe and I just want to put you first. You are my universe and you make my world light up inside. My universe, my universe, my universe.
나를 밝혀주는 건 너란 사랑으로 수놓아진 별. 내 우주에 넌 다른 세상을 만들어주는 걸. 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금 이 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까. 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘. 우리는 너로 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가. When I'm without you I'm crazy. 자 어서 내 손을 잡아.
We are made of each other, baby. You are my universe, and I just want to put you first. You are my universe, and you know that I'm inside my universe, my universe, my
They're cutting a sway through the defence again, and Lionel Messi makes it 8-0. Yet another.
Morning, guys. Today, Maya Angelou provides us another powerful thought that we should try to implement today, and that is always do your best. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard to apply. But if we can remember it and learn from Maya Angelou, we can have so much success, happiness in our life. And she talks about an example where, and somebody was interviewing her on when she wrote her book, Phenomenal Woman, and they asked her, do you write with a purpose to inspire people? And she simply said, no, I just write to do my best with the hopes that that will inspire people. So whatever you're doing today, look at your day, even the simplest thing, do it to the best of your ability, because you have no idea the positive consequences that can come from it. So just do your best wherever you are today. Think of what you have to do. Have a great morning, everyone.
What up, everybody? I'm actually going to start with reading an extract from my book, because it is so important for you guys to know how important health became in my life and how I didn't put it first for so long. So I'm going to read a little extract just to give you guys an introduction into my health, and then let's get down to business. All right. So this is one of my chapters. Chapter 5 is called Life is Not a Fairy Tale, Save Yourself. For years, I dealt with horrific, unimaginable, couldn't wish it on my worst enemy kind of stomach issues. I can honestly, hand on my heart, say that my health issues were one of the best things that ever happened to me. Yep, you heard that right. I'm supercalifragilisticexpialidociously grateful for my years of painful stomach problems. It showed me that money and success truly means nothing when you can barely get up, and that there is zero sense of pride, accomplishment, or satisfaction when you ignore your body, turn a blind eye to the warning signs, and try to pretend that everything is fine when it's so not fine. So I wanted to start with that. And I'm going to share with you guys a story of exactly what happened with my health and how I came to that conclusion. Because I think before we even start to talk about how we develop healthy habits, how we really show up for ourselves, I think, to me, it is imperative to so connect with your why. Because we all know habits are not going to be easy to form. Letting go of old habits are not going to be easy to do. And so you need to hold strong to this why, so that every time you find that you're struggling, that you're having an issue where you can't stick to a habit, maybe, you need to have an orientation and that North Star. And so for me, it really came to, I thought all that mattered was success. And so in the effort of building Quest, I gave up my sleep. I thought that for every hour that I worked, I could cash in for a validation point, because I didn't feel great about myself. So I was seeking validation from the external world. And the external world was giving me a pat on the back for all the hard work that I was doing and all the hours I was putting in. And so what I was doing was I was ignoring every single signal that came my way. And that's where I want to start, guys, is for us to start to identify the signals we've been trained, whether it's our fault, the external sources, whatever. What are the signals that right now we are being trained to ignore? For me, I kept getting big gut issues and I just kept ignoring it. Oh, it's fine. I ate something weird. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my stomach. And over time, it just got worse and worse. And I didn't want to feel weak because I associated myself with not being healthy as weakness. And I didn't want to look from the outside to be weak. So all the signals that my gut was telling me, I was literally shooting down like a game of duck hunt. Anyone play duck hunt? That was me. And so because of that, flash forward, we built Quest into $1 billion company. And the very day, guys, I am not joking. It is so like if you believe in spirituality, it's like someone was trying to tell me something on that day. I worked so hard for 10 years, ignored my body, ignored all the signs. And then what ended up happening was the day we were actually celebrating selling Quest, we have the dream house. Like you can't paint more what we thought was a perfect picture of the celebration of the day that I had been working so hard for 10 years. And on that day, guys, I took a swig of champagne and my gut like that felt like it erupted. And from that day forward, I couldn't eat like a normal person. For a year, I was 20 pounds lighter than I was now. My hair was falling out. My nails were brittle. I was so sick. At the height of my success, I was the worst health I ever could possibly imagine. I couldn't wear a bra, guys, for more than like 4 months because my stomach was so protruded out that I couldn't stand up for longer than 2 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time. Now, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. So acknowledging how you're feeling with these signals and why we ignore them. For me, I was ignoring it because I felt shame around the fact that I wasn't feeling great. I was feeling shame around the fact that here I was, me and my husband just built $1 billion company on nutrition. And yet I can't eat my own product because I am so sick. I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, and so I hid behind it. And so in hiding behind it, I looked externally. That's why this chapter is called Save Yourself. I was looking for someone else to save me. So in this process, where I had now gotten to the point of no return, I had looked outside of myself for other people to fix me. I thought, okay, well, now that we have the finances, I can just hire the best doctor. They're going to fix me. I can just take this pill. I'm just going to follow this doctor's advice and I'm going to be okay. And year after year, I still wasn't improving. Now, it got to the point where because I'm so goal-oriented, the way that I was handling it wasn't improving my health. And so I had to take a hard look and I had to step back and say, Lisa, what if you actually did this to yourself? Because I was grasping at straws at this point, guys, to the point my husband thought I was like slowly dying. I was so malnutrition. And so in the desperation to seek savior, to seek getting better, I had to start pivoting the way that I thought. The definition of insanity is, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And so for 2 years, I was looking for someone else to save me. I was looking for the doctor. And what I realized was I was giving my power away. And in that realization, multiple things happened. Number one, the most beautiful thing was that where I had gotten to, my health issues, the most beautiful thing was realizing it was all my fault. Now look, fault, the word may trigger some of you. That is not my intention. Use a word that actually you can connect with. It is my ownership. It is my responsibility. But whatever word that you can tie to that empowers you to move and shift from giving your power away to taking your power back. For me, it was fault. And so what I realized was it wasn't the doctor's fault. Because I kept saying it was the doctor's fault. They kept giving me antibiotics, right? All my friends kept saying it was the doctor's fault. You had too many antibiotics. They should have told you. But for 2 years, that narrative didn't serve me. And so I started to ask myself, what if I changed the narrative? What if this was on me? What would that look like? And in that moment, I said, oh, the doctors didn't force antibiotics down my throat. The doctors didn't force me to have a sensitive or an unhealthy relationship with food. That was my doing. Growing up, I saw people saying, oh, you don't want to get fat. So I was the one that stopped eating carbs. I was the one that stopped eating fat. Once I could take ownership over that, once I could start taking ownership over the fact that the doctors said to me, you know, I probably shouldn't give you this many antibiotics. Never once did I ask why. Never once did I research what does antibiotics do for you. So in hindsight, what had happened to my gut was I wasn't replenishing it with the foods I was eating. I was then getting antibiotics because I was getting sick over and over again. The antibiotics were killing my gut bacteria. And so this became a death spiral where I wasn't replenishing it. I was getting more antibiotics. I wasn't replenishing it. You do that for 10 to 15 years. That's exactly what happened. My gut erupted. And so in that moment of taking ownership, not making myself feel bad, but saying, wow, if I actually did this to myself, this actually means I can stop waiting to be saved. It actually means if I have the power to do it, I also have the power to undo it. And so that became the very initial catalyst to my health journey and to me setting habits that stuck and letting go of habits that didn't serve me. But it was important, guys, for me to start with this story, to start with the ownership piece. This isn't about blame. This isn't about feeling badly about yourself, but it absolutely is taking you from feeling like you may be a victim, which is exactly how I felt. I felt like a victim. I felt like I was a victim of my own health. I can't believe this has happened to me. Why has this happened to me? I don't know what I've done wrong, right? That's the victim side of me versus your own hero. I can get better. I can fix myself. I can save myself. I don't know why and I don't know how, but the belief, the idea of how you're going to step into this is absolutely fundamental and imperative when you start to talk about developing habits. Because now, if you're unable initially to develop a habit, if your habit, like, oh my God, I was so good and then I fell off, the important part is to keep coming back to, this is on me. I have the responsibility to maintain this habit. I have the responsibility to let this old habit go. The mindset, the idea. And I beg of you guys, if you can see it as empowering, I saw it as the most empowering thing for me to not now listen to the doctors, to actually take it on myself.
another hat-trick. Beautiful, intricate passing between Messi and Pedro, and it's Lionel Messi! It's superb!
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing so far today? Are you trying your best to be the best you can be in anything you're doing? Look at your day. It's not over. Go back at it again. Think about something that you consider perhaps a loss, or something that you know you could have did better at. Go back to the thinking that was involved in that. And now remember the two greatest tools you have always at your disposal: your belief in yourself and your determination. Your spirit of never giving up, getting back at it again if you have that opportunity again today, or thinking about the future when that opportunity may come back to you, and think about how you will respond differently this time. That is the spirit of always doing your best, even if you've experienced a loss or a failure. Never forget, you can learn from it. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
When somebody says, how you doing, and you really are doing bad, I mean, things are just awful. What I want you to do is look at your watch. When they say, how you doing, I want you to look at your watch and say, well, at exactly 3:30, I'll be doing super good. And they might say, well, what's going to happen at 3:30? Then you say, at 3:30, I'm going to be positive. Now, I'm going to be negative until then, but man, at 3:30, I'm going to get positive. Now, wait a minute. Do I understand this right? You're going to be negative until 3:30, and then from 3:30 on, you're going to be positive. I sure am, man alive. I can't wait for 3:30 to get here, because then I'm going to be positive. They say, now, are you kidding me? You mean you're going to wait till 3:30 to be positive? Why don't you go ahead and be positive now? Then you look at him and you kind of smile and say,
Zig Ziglar was one of the world's most popular motivational speakers. Ziglar was one of 12 children raised by a widowed mother during the Great Depression. He wrote over 25 books, including See You at the Top, and inspired millions of people around the world. In this exclusive training, Ziglar shares with us the incredible power of the right mental attitude, the massive impact it can make on your life, and what you need to do to develop it. Special thanks to the Ziglar family for partnering with us to release this exclusive content on our YouTube channel. Enjoy.
okay, super. There never has been a doubt in the minds of any of the people that I've been talking with about whether or not the right mental attitude was important. Whether you're a coach, a student, a businessman, a housewife, a husband, a salesman, a builder, doesn't make any difference what you are. The right mental attitude is important. As a matter of fact, in America today, there are over 30,000 schools teaching just about everything. They'll teach you how to do anything from trimming toenails to taking out tonsils. They'll teach you how to put hash on the plate a little more attractively, or how to run heavy earth-moving equipment. But there's not a school on the face of this earth that's going to teach you how to be any better than mediocre, unless you've got the right mental attitude. Now, the right mental attitude involves a lot of phases. We're going to be talking a lot about positive thinking in this particular phase. As you well know, the Rich Life course itself embodies many other things. It's actually, instead of just a positive mental attitude, it's a positive life attitude. But gee, I don't want to sell that positive mental attitude short, because that's the thing that makes so much difference so many times. See, it's a series of little things that makes the difference. You can call a girl a kitten and she'll love you. Call her a cat and you're in trouble. I mean, and it's not really that much difference. You can say she's a vision and you score all kind of points. Call her a sight and you're in trouble. Or can you imagine a man looking in his wife's eyes and saying, you know, honey, when I look into your eyes, the wheels of time just stand still. Oh, that's poetic. That's moving. That'll get action. I guarantee you. But that's so much better, you know, when he does it that way than if he were to say, you know, honey, you got a face that'd stop a clock, you know. And yet it's just that little bit of difference. You know, if this watch of mine were 4 hours wrong, I wouldn't have any difficulty at all. I can look at my watch and say, hey, that's bad wrong. But if it's 4 minutes wrong, I got a problem because I can't tell that. And next Monday morning at 10:18, I get aboard that aircraft going to Portland, Oregon. You see, and if my watch is 4 minutes wrong and I get there at 10:22, you see, I got a problem because, well, let me tell you about the deal I worked out with the airlines. It's a simple deal. It just says that if I'm not there when they get ready to go, that they're just to go ahead without me. And I found out last summer right here in Dallas that they live up to their end of the agreement too. And I also found out it's easy to catch those dudes before they leave the ground, okay? A little bit makes a lot of difference. I imagine you're familiar with the story of the great racehorse Nashua. Nashua won over $1 million on the racetrack in less than an hour of actual racing. Hundreds of hours of training, hundreds of hours of practice, but 1 hour of racing. Now, as you well know, you can take $100 and buy 10, or rather, you can take $1 million and buy 100 $10,000 racehorses. But a lot of people don't know the reason. The reason is because $1 million horse runs exactly 100 times as fast as a $10,000 one. Right? He doesn't? How much faster is $1 million horse? Actually, would you say twice as fast? 50% faster, 20% faster, 10% faster? How much faster is $1 million horse than a $10,000 one? Let me give you an example which I think pretty well says it. 5 or 6 years ago at the Arlington Futurity, the winning racehorse received $100,000 more than the one who came in second place. Now, the Arlington Futurity is a race which is 1 1/8 miles in length, which, as you well know, is 71,280 inches. You did know that, didn't you? Okay. Well, you know it now because that's a fact. I spent the day. I can tell you that's right. And the winning horse got there exactly 1 inch ahead of the one who came in second place. 71,280 inches of racing, the winner got there 1 inch in front of the second one. 1974, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, the jockey that rode that horse across the line first, was given a check for $27,000. Substantially less than 2 seconds later, jockey number 4 crossed the finish line, and they wrote him a check for $30. And somebody said, "Is that right?" And I said, "No, it ain't right, but that's the way they do it." That's always been the way they've done it. You see, we're not going to change the rules for the game of life. There's no commission for the salesman who almost makes a sale. And yet there's full commission if he just barely makes the sale. Now, what's the difference between just barely making it and just barely missing it? I believe so many times it's wrapped up in this thing called the right mental attitude. Does positive thinking work? Well, let's take you to a baseball game. It was a baseball game that was played a long time ago. It was played right here in Dallas, Texas, as a matter of fact. During the 1930s, when minor league baseball was real baseball, the San Antonio team had 7 hitters on the team that had hit over 300 the year before. Everybody figured they was going to win the pennant because that many 300 hitters on a team, how are you going to beat them? But the truth of the matter is they lost the first game and the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth. As a matter of fact, at the end of 21 games, that San Antonio team had lost the first 18 games. The pitcher was blaming the catcher was blaming the infield was blaming the outfield, the manager was blaming this, that, and the other, and everybody was blaming the manager. But in reality, the manager was a good one. His name was O'Reilly. He knew there wasn't a thing wrong with his team except the fact they were suffering from stinking thinking. In other words, they needed that little checkup from the neck up as well. So because of the fact that they had played this one game in Dallas, had been beaten 1-0. As a matter of fact, the only hit they got was a scratch single, and that was by the pitcher. And now they were getting ready for the second game. Well, at this time, there was a fellow in Dallas named Slater who was a faith healer. Oh, they said that Mr. Slater could just do anything. And so O'Reilly devised a plan. Just before the game was to start, about 30 minutes before, he rushed into the clubhouse. He said, "Fellas, give me your 2 best bets. I'm going to take them somewhere. When they come back, we'll have the answer. We're going to win the game today. Don't worry about a thing." He was excited. About 2 minutes before game time, he came back in. He had those bats in that wheelbarrow, the two best bats from each man, and he was really excited. As a matter of fact, if you think he'd been excited before this time, you should have seen him. He was on fire with enthusiasm. He was burning up. He said, fellas, I've taken these bats to Mr. Slater. He's put his blessings on them. He says that all we got to do is step up to that plate, take a cut. He says, we're going to knock the ball out of there. He says, we're going to win the game today. We're going to win the pennant. He said, fellas, go get them, Tigers. And guess what the Tigers did that day? Now remember, this is a team that had been beaten 1-0 the day before. They'd only gotten one hit, and that was a scratch single. But today, same ballpark, same team, same circumstances, this team, the San Antonio team, got 37 hits. They scored 22 runs. They hit 11 home runs. I don't think I need to add that they won the game. As a matter of fact, they went on to win the pennant. But ladies and gentlemen, here is the kicker. For years, they sold Slater bats around the Texas League at an enormous premium. But the interesting thing is they never proved that Slater had ever even seen the bats. Let me ask you a question. Suppose he had seen the bats. What could a fella do to a pile of wood? We know he couldn't do anything at all. But what could he do to the minds of the men who were swinging that wood? If you knew you were going to get a base hit, wouldn't you step up there with more enthusiasm, with more zeal, with more determination, and with more confidence, knowing that you were going to get a hit? And isn't that really what positive thinking is all about? All positive.
It's like I'm living a dream, but it's how everyone feels. We all unite with one feel. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our. This is the time of our. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. I love this moment right now. No one can take it away. So let it happen anyhow. It's why I cherish each day. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite.
Here we go.
Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. What we see, destiny. Realize now we all know the greatest.
Spoons rather luckily into the path here of Messi, who could take full advantage. It's Lionel Messi! You can't stop him.
Good evening, guys. How did it go today? Were you able to do your best? If you were, that's a victory, no matter what, even if you didn't get the win that you were looking for. I want to share with you a personal story. One of my greatest challenges, and I think it's a challenge for all of us, is to really seek to understand the other person that I'm trying to help and do my best with. And I want to share an example with my relationship with my wife. The other day, as you know, I'm excited and I try to apply the things that I'm trying to talk about and learn about every day. And so I asked my wife at the end of the night when we were exhausted and ready to go to bed, I said, honey, what's one thing you love about yourself? So thinking that, okay, we can create some conversation. You know, we haven't really spent much time together. It's so busy. And she just turned to me and said, that's not what I want to talk about now. And then it reminded me, I thought, okay, I got to get into what is going on in the other person's heart and mind, not just my own. So let's learn from that. Have a great evening, everyone.
Being victimized by a circumstance in your life literally means that event, that circumstance, that person, that condition is actually causing you to feel emotionally and think in terms of memories equal to that circumstance. And that circumstance actually changes your state of being. So you're thinking the same way and you're feeling the same way and your response to the environment is the same. We can guarantee that your life is going to stay the same because you're the same. Yes, that person, why are you unhappy? Why are you frustrated? Why are you sad? And they'll say this condition, this person is actually making me feel and think this way. Well, anything that makes us feel and think a certain way that we don't think we have any control over, for the most part, we're victims. So we're, as a species, become victimized by the conditions in our life, and it's the environment then that is controlling the way we feel and the way we think. So the idea is, if you can change the way you think and change the way you feel, could you begin to produce outcomes or effects in your life that cause you to believe that you're the creator of your life instead of the victim of your life?
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because as a young entrepreneur, I struggled to keep my business going. I had no friends, I had no mentors, I had no role models. And the thing that saved me was learning from the success stories of famous entrepreneurs. And in their stories, I got motivation, and I also got strategies for what I could do to grow my business and not stay stuck. And I still need their stories for motivation today. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Joe Dispenza, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
The synchronicity, the serendipity, the coincidence that happens in your life, you're going to pay attention to what you did, and you're going to realize that on some level you had a hand in that, that you were a participant in that. Our interest is to teach people how to reverse that process. Every person, every circumstance, every condition, every place, every object that you own is mapped neurologically in your brain. So your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact, a repository of everything you've learned intellectually or experienced. End products of experience are called emotions. The memories that we have in our life produces familiar emotions, or our response to anybody that we know in our life. There's a neurological network for your boss, for your coworker, for your ex. And for most people, their interaction in the environment is causing their environment to control their thinking, or their personal reality is controlling their personality. So our interest is if your personality is made of how you think, how you act, and how you feel, is it possible if I begin to change the way I think, change the way I act, and change the way I feel, should my life change? Because I'm changing. And so the interest for us then is to be able to meet the challenges and conditions in our life from a greater level of consciousness and not be victimized by those circumstances, but to take time and to review how you're going to think, how you're going to act, and how you're going to feel. That's meditation. And review how you're not going to think, how you're not going to act, and how you're not going to feel. It just turns out that tends to be 95% of who we are, those unconscious programs. So it's so much easier to forget than to remember, because it's the majority of who we are, after a certain point in our life. So changing that process, the overcoming process of that same self, somehow begins to produce effects in people's lives. And that's kind of the exciting part about being a creator of your life.
Rule number 2 is pay attention to your actions.
I always tell my children that your personality creates your personal reality. And if you want to change something in your life, then on a fundamental level, you have to look at the thoughts you're thinking to see if they're serving you. Notice the behaviors that you're demonstrating and see if those are loving to yourself. And begin to look at the emotions that you've memorized that become part of your identity. And children begin to understand this very naturally, because the law with children that I've believed from the time my children were very young is that if you give them the facts, they will interpret the laws. So because of mirror neurons, your children are paying attention to more of what you do than what you say. So you can't say to your kids, clean your room, and have a messy room. You understand? Because they're going to look at your room subconsciously, automatically. And I was doing an interview for this book. Someone was interviewing me for this book, and they said, "Can you tell me about the terrible twos?" I said, "It's really simple. What do you do the first year of your child's life? Oh, look how cute he is. Look how cute she is. Look. Oh, and then all of a sudden, at 1 year old, what happens? They stand up, right? And then they stand up and their brain is so neuroplastic and they go, wow, look at this vase. I wonder how it's made. Oh, it holds water. And then the child begins to interact with the environment out of curiosity, pulling things, breaking things, and then what do? Yeah. No! And you do that for a whole year, and then you say at 2 years old, put your shoes on, and what's the child say? No! It's mirror neurons. It's only mirroring behavior. So we know then that children pay attention because of those mirror neurons, more based on what they observe than what they're told.
Rule number 3 is practice repetition.
Every time you learn something new, you make new connections in your brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new synaptic connections. And as you begin to leave imprints in your neurological tissue as a result of your interaction in the environment, the next thing is that you're going to have an opportunity then to apply that information, to personalize it, to demonstrate it. And a certain group of people will get their behaviors to match their intentions, to get their actions equal to their thoughts. They'll step out into the unknown and they'll try it. And when they do, they'll have a new experience. And experience then enriches the brain, reorganizing more circuits than what you understood physiologically. But the moment those neurons string into place, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And the moment you feel unlimited, the moment you feel like a patient parent, the moment you feel abundant, the moment you feel free, now you are teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. So we can say knowledge is for the mind and experience is for the body. And in that moment, you're beginning to embody the truth of that philosophy, of that theory. And you're literally signaling new genes in new ways. And you are rewriting your biological program. But if you've done it once, it must mean you can do it again. And if you can repeat any experience over and over again, you are going to neurochemically condition your mind and body to begin to work as one. And when you've done something so many times that the body now knows how to do it as well as the mind, now it's becoming innate in you. It's second nature. It's easy. It's familiar. It's who you are. As a matter of fact, you've practiced it so many times that you don't even have to consciously think about it because it's becoming a subconscious program. So our job is to go from philosopher to initiate to master, from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from thinking to doing to being, to learning it with your head, practicing it with your hands, and knowing it by heart.
Rule number 4 is change your brain waves.
as we always begin, as everything begins. Through the power of our minds, controlling our breathing. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you're here in this moment, in the present, using your gift, the greatest gift you have, the now, I love you. I love you because we're all one. We can all stay in the present and be our true presence. Be the human being we were all born to be. The way we did our best today, this gym period, is the way we can do our best in everything and anything, including remaining deeply grateful and loving and kind to each other, helping each other learn, grow, helping each other win together. There's no greater joy than that. There's no greater happiness than that. That's the ultimate truth. You can feel it right now. You were born to win, to be happy, to be peaceful, to simply be your true great self, to enjoy fully this moment right now.